I'll cover a few housekeeping notes. Then we'll meet my illustrious co-presenters, and then we'll dive into the presentation. So for housekeeping, first, this event is being recorded, and a closed caption recording of the session will be available tomorrow on sixcolleges.org. As many of you know, this is the 9th and final event with this group of 6 colleges for the fall of 2020. So if you missed any of our other events and you want to see those, which we cover a very wide range of topics there, you can find those recordings on sixcolleges.org. Second, this event is in a Zoom webinar format, which means you can see and hear us, but we can't see or hear you. We'll be taking questions though, so if you'd like to ask a question, please use the Q&A feature, type your question in, and we'll get to as many as we can. Lastly, this event will be 1 hour long, with the first 30 minutes spent together here with all 6 colleges, including a short Q&A. And the second 30-minute portion, each college will break out into individual Zoom sessions for a more interactive Q&A. I want to make sure you know that in those breakout sessions, each of tonight's presenters will also be joined by someone from their career services office to help you get all your questions answered. I'll drop the link to the breakout sessions in the chat at the end of our time together. All right, so now that we've gotten logistics out of the way, let's meet all of our panelists. Let's go in alphabetical order. So naturally, we'll start with Amherst.
Hi, everyone. It's great to have you here tonight. My name is Kate Zolkis. I'm Dean of Admission at Amherst College.
Hi, everyone. My name is Claudia Marroquin, and I'm the Director of Admissions at Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine.
Hey, everyone. My name is Adam Webster, and I'm the Director of Admissions at Carleton College in Northfield, Minnesota.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joel Hart. I'm the Senior Associate Dean of Admissions and Director of Operations for Pomona College in Claremont, California.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Moe. I'm Director of Admissions at Swarthmore College in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania.
And I'm Twink Williams-Burns from Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts. So tonight's event, which we're calling Outcomes and Opportunity, is all about the ways that our institutions prepare students to live successful, meaningful lives after graduation. We've all teamed up to talk to you about this because we know that there are an overwhelming number of options out there. And we know it can be hard to find the information that's most important to you and your loved ones as you make your way through this wild college process. Applying to college in a normal year is hard. And of course, 2020 is anything but normal. So we wanted to make it as easy as possible for you to explore what liberal arts education can offer you. And make no mistake, these statistics are deeply impressive. I want you to really listen up here. Within 6 months of graduation, 95 to 97% of the graduates of all 6 of our colleges are either employed in graduate school or have chosen to enter the military or a service opportunity. So let me say that again for the folks in the back, because I know sometimes people are shocked to hear statistics like that from a liberal arts college. When students graduate from any of the 6 colleges here tonight, they either have a job, they have been accepted into graduate school, or they have chosen to pursue a service opportunity like AmeriCorps or to join the military 95 to 97% of the time. So if you are a student listening right now, that means you can expect to graduate from our colleges and take the next step that's meaningful for you as you pursue your passions and build the life that you want. How do we do this? How are our graduates able to go on to wildly successful careers when there are really no clear lines from a major at a liberal arts college to a specific career? Liberal arts colleges don't have, for example, a business major with a clear line to becoming a business owner, or a nursing major with a clear line to becoming a nurse. At the same time, we graduate a lot of business owners and a lot of healthcare professionals and a lot of other careers in every field you can imagine. But they may have majored in just about anything as a college student. And as an example, I'm going to share my screen really quickly so that you can see just one way that you might be able to visualize what our graduates go out to do. So on the left side of this circle here, we've got all of the majors that are offered at one of our liberal arts schools. And on the right side is a list of a bunch of the different career fields that we track. So if you go down, right, so arts and entertainment as a career field, it had students that majored in arts and music, language, English, philosophy, what is this, culture studies, history, political studies, economics, psychology, biology, chemistry, physics, computer science, mathematics, everything you can imagine, all ended up going into careers in arts and entertainment. The same thing for, if we go down to, I don't know, law. People go into law from every single one of the majors here, and they funnel into that, including majors in the sciences. We do banking and finance, same thing. Every one of the majors has students that go into successful careers in banking and finance, K through 12 education, college education, etc. And this is one example from one college, but this really could be any of our 6 colleges, because this is the beauty of the liberal arts experience, that it gives students the tools that they need to be successful, to be really able and to be nimble, and to go off into careers that, you know, maybe don't even exist yet. So in the rest of our time together, my colleagues will be walking you through what that looks like at every stop in the student's experience, from when they get on campus to after they graduate and walk across our stages. So now I would like to pass the screen off to Kate, who will talk to you about how first-year students begin their career journeys on our campuses.
Thanks, Twink. I've always found that slide so impressive. Thanks for sharing that. So fast forward to the fall of your first year in college. Phew, you've made it. You've graduated from high school, and now you're in a new environment with new friends and so much to do. Please note that we're not asking you to commit to a career path your first semester. But we do acknowledge that the old model of career counseling, based on the assumption that a student during their junior year, if they're really forward thinking, or perhaps more likely their senior year, would make an appointment with the Career Placement Center because graduation was looming and it was time to get a job. The career exploration process can at first seem really intimidating. You just left high school to begin college, and we're already asking you to think about after graduation, or here you are thinking about what college you're going to attend, and we're talking to you about your career path. Well, things have changed a lot. And first of all, we make it much less stressful. And we do that by starting small. So the first thing that you might do is simply update your high school resume, frame it a bit more professionally, add a student club or a student job to get ready for an internship opportunity. Career peer advisors have drop-in hours and they can give you really quick advice. So the model really has changed, as I said, dramatically. Today, career development goes hand in hand with intellectual development. You'll have both academic advisors and career advisors. The structure of the career planning is set up for you to start actually during your first year. When you think about your academic path, you should also be thinking about your career path. When you're in your academics and you're exploring a class, you're not committing to majoring in that department. And when you explore different jobs and careers, you're not committing to spending a lifetime in that career. We think a lot about a student's first year experience and maybe even internships after their first year. You will be encouraged to meet with an advisor, and career advisors, they're really fun people, as you'll see when we break into our breakout rooms. Perhaps you'll sit in on an information session. You'll talk with recent graduates who are engaged in the work, and perhaps with more experienced alumni who might be leaders in the field. Although you can conjure up an image and think you know a certain job, it might not be the reality. So it's really important that you do an internship to get a sense of what the job might be really like. To name a few examples of internships after a student's first year, we've had students who were in an internship in a hospital. One was an intern in a medical school, another worked with the US Forest Service, others political campaigns, foundations, climate action groups, etc. There are a lot of opportunities. It's also important to note that our schools understand that some internships are expensive because it means giving up essentially income to kind of volunteer because you might not get paid for the internship. And we work with students to provide equitable financial experiences despite the type of internship that you're going to be getting. And this could be in the form of grant funding, a stipend, et cetera. We want to provide you with an opportunity to gain a better understanding of employment or earnings, regardless of your ability to take the time away from earning income. We also have access to some incredible tools. So for example, Handshake is the most cutting edge platform available, one-stop shopping for all career resources, from easy appointment making for students all the way up to engaging with Fortune 500 companies that use it to recruit our students. Handshake has increased job opportunities threefold. When you arrive on our campus, pay close attention to email you'll be receiving from the Career Center. You might see a weekly newsletter actually designed for first-year students. Open the email, don't ignore it. Get comfortable with the idea of mentally engaging with the process, even if you're not ready for an internship after your first year. Now, Adam will continue the journey.
If Adam can in fact find the mute button, but I have, and so thank you, Kate. It's no surprise that we prioritize exploration in the early going at our colleges. We are liberal arts colleges. We're committed to the idea that our students should take a moment to consider many paths to see where they lead and how they might fit. We're likewise committed to scaling up our post-college planning as you move through your college years to meet you where you are. So how does this play out? Well, I'd start by noting that our career services are aligned to mirror the academic advising model at our institutions. I mean, as students move towards selecting their major at the end of their sophomore year, students simultaneously gravitate towards more specialized career fields. Much as students gain academic advisors, therefore, they also gain career counselors who help students recognize and pursue experiences that help them flesh out career opportunities. For some students, an emerging professional interest follows a reasonably well-worn path. To that end, know that all of our colleges offer strong pre-professional advising programs that meet students in the exact situation they're at. These are led by teams of specialized staff and faculty advisors, and these advisory tracks help students navigate avenues into fields like medicine, law, architecture, and more. Basically, they ensure that students make strong curricular choices which respect a full liberal arts experience, but also open the right graduate school doors down the road. For other students, the next steps towards a career are necessarily a little more fluid. Good news, I'm not sure there's a better collection of institutions for helping students find their footing in professional opportunities that are still in the process of defining than the group that you're going to see here tonight. Our career centers have developed entire career-based communities centered around popular industries many alumni head towards. Think strategic consulting, nonprofit administration, banking, education, and many, many more. Here, students can work with peers, career coaches, and alumni in broader fields of employment to identify niches that seem to resonate. For those who still need or want more time to define their interest and skill set, we all know how to flex our calendars in ways that make professional experience easy to fit in alongside everything else that makes our colleges so great. An example from Carleton. I know of a first-year student who explored an interest in medical addiction by shadowing an ENT specialist to study post-surgical pain applications. This is all in their first year. The following year, this same student actually pivoted off of that experience to do clinical trials internship with experimental drugs in an addictive, compulsive, and impulsive disorders lab in Chicago. This student's only a junior and already has 2 unique resume experiences lined up. So for more in this vein, I'd like to turn it over to Andrew.
Thanks, Adam. As students progress toward junior year, new opportunities emerge. By this point in college, you have learned the ins and outs of academic work. You have established solid connections with faculty advisors and the Dean of Students office. You have dabbled in various clubs and organizations, perhaps taking on a leadership role, and you likely just took that monumental leap toward declaring your major. Perhaps that major was completely different than your intended major in high school, or you've been on the same track all along. The point is, you're deep into the college experience, and now's the time to venture out. On and off our campuses, you will find pathways and open doors leading to meaningful opportunities, such as student research projects and research alongside faculty, attending academic conferences and symposia, studying away, whether that's abroad or in a domestic program at another college, and partaking in experiential learning and co-curricular programs. And at the nation's most well-endowed liberal arts colleges, those you see here today, we will ensure that you can take advantage of these opportunities regardless of your socioeconomic background. Studying away from campus, either domestically or internationally, represents a rite of passage for many college students. Never again in your life, and trust us when we say this, will you have so few obligations like pets and family members to take care of and mortgages. And junior year is the most popular time in college to study elsewhere. And as you start to explore this both exciting and potentially terrifying prospect of being outside of your comfort zone, you'll have advisors to help lay out your plans and connect your study away goals with your future. Do you hope to become fluent in another language so that you can point to the skill set in a future job interview? Well, then we won't send you to the American college of whatever country to study with other students from the United States. Instead, we'll place you in a homestay where you will likely navigate public transportation and interact with community members in the local language. And in our study away programs, our colleges will ensure that you have the financial resources to do it. Experiential learning and exploration takes on new meaning at liberal arts colleges. On our campuses, you'll receive these important hands-on experiences with knowledgeable faculty and staff. At Amherst and Williams colleges, for example, you will find treks, which include one-day visits to schools and education centers, and multi-day expeditions to domestic and international sites where educational models, policies, and practices can be analyzed, critiqued, and compared. At all of our colleges, you will find similar programs integrated into the curriculum. Finally, I'll leave you with a practical example of a recent student of mine. A few years ago, Grant, a student from Southern California attending Swarthmore, expressed interest in film and media studies. Of course, he had plenty of resources on campus, but he wanted to meet the filmmakers, producers, artists, and directors that he had been studying in the classroom. So he was nominated by his faculty advisor to attend the Toronto Film Festival as part of our generous conference funding program. There, he made meaningful connections with industry leaders, and now he's a Swarthmore graduate working in the film industry in Los Angeles. This example represents a practical experience afforded to students by liberal arts colleges that prioritize undergraduate education and experiences. And now, as we move into your senior year in college, I'll hand it over to Claudia.
Great, thank you, Andrew. So now you're in your senior year and you're ready to tie all of these experiences you've had in college to actively pursue postgraduate opportunities, whether again, that's grad school, employment, fellowships, or something else. We've talked about how career advisors at our school support students as they seek internships, but they also think about all the little details. Students participate in everything from resume and cover letter workshops that are really tailored to specific industries, to mock interviews for jobs with alumni who work in those fields. You're getting a lot of insider knowledge and tips on what to really expect. And then you get to pull this all together at networking events with employers at job fairs that often are happening on our campuses. So yes, recruiters are coming to each of our campuses and actively seeking our students. And all of our schools also think about the steps that go into landing a job interview as well. You'll hear more about how alumni take an active role in making connections for students, but we also want to make sure that you're prepared from head to toe. In non-COVID times, most employers will fly job finalists to their offices for a final interview. But when that isn't the case, our colleges also have funding that supports students in this way. We'll make sure that you're also dressed for the occasion. It's not uncommon for low-income students at our schools to request funding and have a dean or a career advisor go shopping with you to pick out the right outfit. Now that's really personalized attention. And among the many postgraduate opportunities our students are going to consider are national fellowships. All of our schools are top producers of Fulbright Scholars, Watson Fellows, Truman Scholars, Rhodes Scholars, and many other notable opportunities. At Bowdoin, for example, the staff in our Student Fellowships Office work really closely with career exploration and development, as well as faculty members, to ensure you have the strongest personal statement and project description to persuasively articulate your strengths and your future plans. And then to really strengthen your presentation skills that are going to serve you well in just about any interview or path that you explore after college. And lastly, there's graduate school. So to really illustrate this point, I'm going to tell you about one of my students, Bill De La Rosa, who graduated from Bowdoin in 2016. He managed to tie all of these experiences and parlay them into some pretty incredible opportunities in just a few short years. So Bill is from Arizona. He's a first-generation college student, and he focused his academics and many of his co-curricular opportunities on examining the human consequences of border security and migration. He completed research at Bowdoin in sociology and Latin American studies, which really has become his life's passion. He earned a Truman Fellowship to support his future endeavors in public service in his junior year. And winning that Truman essentially means that he earned $30,000 towards graduate school. In his senior year, he received a Marshall Scholarship, which allowed him to complete 2 master's degrees at Oxford University, one in migration studies and one in international development, again, at no cost. Bill has also been in the working world. So he spent a year working as a policy analyst at the US Department of Health and Human Services, and then a year back in his hometown of Phoenix, where he was advising on strategies to address social disparities in the justice system. He somehow managed to find the time to also apply and be accepted into Yale's law school, which he did defer for a year since he actually returned back to Oxford this August with a Clarence Scholarship to earn his PhD. So he's an example of a lifelong learner for you, but also someone who is supported to dream big and to really pursue his ambitions. So with that, I want you to hear a little bit more about our alumni and how our alumni help our students. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Joel.
Thank you, Claudia. And actually, I'm going to sort of bookend our discussion about alumni by talking about them from both directions, from both the experience of connecting to our resources as an alum, and then also taking advantage of our alums. I think one of the most important things to emphasize about how schools like ours prepare you for post-college outcomes is to realize that our commitment to you doesn't stop just because you've graduated. Our career services offices are available to our alumni just like they're available to current students. So that means if you're one of the literally millions of people who will change careers at some point, you can rely on us to provide career advice, resume guidance, connections to other alums, the same support you would have gotten from us as a first year, second year, third year, fourth year student. You can get that throughout your lifetime. We have a student at Pomona as a former senior interviewer named Sam, who was the great combination of being a pre-med English major when he was at Pomona. He applied to, was accepted to medical schools, and then spent a gap year doing a research fellowship. He realized during the fellowship that his passion was not medicine, it was poetry. So he contacted our career development office, the same staff who had guided him through the med school application process, contacted them to get help on applying for an MFA. They helped him go through that process, and he ultimately ended up at the University of Pittsburgh, in a well-regarded graduate program in poetry. So again, that connection that stays with you once you leave as well. It also continues through the ways that you can engage with our alumni networks. We have long histories of student success. You can find our alumni on hiring committees, in research labs, in executive offices at prominent institutions and corporations around the country. It means alums at all 6 of our colleges can be integral to helping current students find post-college opportunities. That takes many forms. An alum might post an internship on one of our internal hiring sites, like Handshake, for example, giving you access to that opportunity before students elsewhere would see it. It means you might participate in a job shadowing experience. Using our alumni network can help you know how to get your resume seen by the right person at a particular company, because you can reach out to somebody who works at that place already. It also allows our students, though, to connect with alumni for advice and guidance in more unusual ways. I'll point to Swarthmore in this instance and their SWAT Tank program. It allows SWATties to take a business idea, get paired with an alum mentor experienced in the field, who then provides guidance and support on developing an idea into a business model. They then compete in a Shark Tank style competition where the top prize is $3,000 to help fund that business model. That's the kind of investment our alums make in our campus communities. There's a culture of giving back, of helping to lift up the next generation of thought leaders and entrepreneurs. And our small size means that more of our students get to take advantage of those mentorship opportunities when they're available. So I will now hand things back over to Twink to take us along to the end. And I'd be remiss if I didn't close by saying, go Dodgers.
Oh no, we won't get started on that. But thank you very much, Joel. It looks like we actually have some time for a few questions before breaking into our individual rooms. So if you have a question for the panel, please type it into the Q&A box. I can see that a few have already come in. We won't be able to get to all of them, but you will have time in the next segment to ask questions in the breakout rooms. And again, it will be each of us in our own college's breakout room, joined by someone from our Career Services Center, so that you can ask as many nitty-gritty questions as you'd like. All right, so the first question is from Jack, who asks about the possibility of taking a gap year after college and considering just getting some work experience under their belt before heading off to graduate school, and wanting to know what support might be available for that. So Claudia, do you want to go ahead and answer that one?
Yeah, thanks for that question, Jack. So I'll also throw in a quick comment around gap years before you even start college. All of our schools are supportive of gap years, so that is also something to consider. But there definitely are a number of students who will take a year off before applying to graduate school, or sometimes again deferring their enrollment into graduate school. As you mentioned in the way you worded your question, you were thinking of whether having that work experience is going to make you a stronger applicant, and that can certainly be the case. At all of our schools, you see students who sometimes will take on one of these fellowships, or they really want to get their feet wet in the industry before deciding if, again, like med school, they really want to commit to another 6 to 8 years of schooling. So I think that's something that all of our advisors and folks in our offices will encourage students to think about and to have it be part of your plan, to make sure that that, again, is the right choice for you, or whether going directly into graduate school might be the better option. But regardless of what time in your life you decide to go back to graduate school, the resources that our schools have are always going to be available to you. That is a huge promise. And it's also, I think, the strength of being small and personal schools, where whether it's law school, business school, med school, or again, you're switching careers and are looking for advice on how to articulate the new skills you've gained and really pivot into a very different industry, you're going to always have support from our schools. So I think that's really an important piece of the learning at liberal arts colleges, and that's something that will continue for you for a lifetime.
Thank you, Claudia. Lots of great questions coming in. Some, and it seems like actually many, have to do with the STEM field. And I just want to, before kicking it to one of my co-presenters, want to be very clear that our STEM majors are incredibly strong. The research opportunities are incredibly strong at all 6 of our colleges. And the number of students who go off into medical school or other science-related either graduate school programs or directly into the field are very high and very strong, and they're going off to the most prestigious medical schools and science research programs possible. And so I want to make that really clear that even if a student is a history major, like one of my friends in college who is now a researcher who went to Stanford Medical School and is researching at a hospital in California, you can do that at any one of our schools and still get all the support you need along the way, despite your major, to be ready for pre-med or for medical school. And so to talk a little bit more about that, let me kick it a little to Adam.
And look at that, how deftly I handled the mute button. So yes, I'd be delighted to talk a little bit about medical school stuff. I think it begins by understanding that some of our students actually arrive at a place like Carleton or any of our institutions with an eye towards medical school. They know that this is in the service of a medical career. And for those students, yeah, we're set to meet you right where you are, right? And that path seems more obvious, and the counseling, infrastructure, and advising work is in place to help with that. But there's also a number of students, as befits liberal arts colleges, that identify that potential interest a little later on. And I think we do a really good job of scaling where we're at to meet you in those locations. We will cover you and support your candidacy in medical school, regardless of your academic credentials. And I think that's an important thing to understand. And if you're coming out of a place like Carleton with a 3.5 and you score in the 80th percentile of the MCAT, you're going to get to med school where you want to go. I mean, our admit rates on those are well north of 90%. And so these are institutions that prepare you for that kind of stuff really well. It seems unusual because, yes, it's a liberal arts college. How could you possibly have a strong STEM preparatory program? In fact, we build that into our sort of ordinary liberal arts curriculum. But for students who really want to take off in the STEM field, including some applied stuff like medical school, this is a great spot for you.
Awesome, thank you. And I know we are at 7:30 right now. A couple questions have come in here around financial aid, and I just want to make sure folks know that you can find a whole session about how financial aid works at our schools on 6colleges.org. It's a session that was recorded by our deans of admission and financial aid. And of course, we are all schools that meet 100% of financial need for students who come. We're all deeply committed to that. We do not plan on changing that at any time in any future that any of us can foresee. Regardless of COVID, we're all in very strong financial situations, and we're very glad about how that allows students to start off their lives financially after graduating from our schools. All right, so without further ado, I know folks are chomping at the bit to ask more questions in our breakout rooms. And so I'm going to drop the link to the breakout rooms right here in the chat. Please feel free. Oh, is it? Hold on 1 second. For some reason, it's not going through. Hold on, everybody. Okay, here we go.
And I just helped you out and dropped the link in there.
Got it. Okay, thank you. They probably got it twice. Sorry, my computer is being slow today. So please feel free to go there. You'll be able to join as many or as few of our breakout rooms as you'd like. You can come and go as you please, ask whatever questions work best for you. And we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for attending this portion of the program, and enjoy the rest of it. See you later.